Tonight we are talking to someone who has been on the front lines of security, Mike Matranga. He is a former Secret Service agent who served on presidential protection teams and now runs M6 Global Defense. That's a company that's focused on keeping schools and workplaces safe. Mike, we want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. First off, we heard a report that there may have been at least one possible explosive at the scene. What's the importance of that information? What does that tell investigators?
Well, I think there's a lot to unpack. If you look at the preliminary investigation and reports that have come out, we've known that there has been at least one explosive device inside the vehicle, and now the FBI is reporting that they are urgently and actively looking for at least 4 other suspects, 3 men and 1 possible woman that possibly have been planting IEDs in the general vicinity of where the attack occurred.
All right, and
that would indicate to me that this is a planned and coordinated attack, not just carried out by the individual that was driving the vehicle.
Okay, that answers a lot of questions right there. From an investigation standpoint, what are investigators trying to determine at this point? What specific questions are they asking? What are the most important to find out right now?
Well, I think that it's important for us to all take a little bit of a step back, take a deep breath. I think it should come as no surprise that this has happened. For the last year, the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have been pushing out bulletins, including in testimony stating that we are at an all-time heightened level of security in the United States, that these lone wolf or coordinated attacks in conjunction with these lone wolf attackers, should be expected. So I think investigations, questions that should be coming out are who were these people associated with? What was that online presence of this individual? Are there other people? Are there other cells that could potentially be, waiting patiently for us? And I think it's important to note that, after all of these events, the American people seem to rally together, but we quickly forget that we're all Americans, and we let politics divide us sometimes, and we lose sight of what the real threat is. And there are people that just generally do not like the existence of the American way. So we've all got to band together in this time of need.
You mentioned that increased threat risk, and we understand that information right now is limited and this could be premature, but from what you're hearing and or seeing, can you point to any possible security lapses that may have contributed to what happened last night, early this morning?
Yeah, I think that it's easy to point fingers right now. What I will tell you is I was in New Orleans less than a month ago at a Taylor Swift concert. I was walking down the street with one of my kids, and I told him, I said, listen, how easy would it be right now to drive a vehicle through all these people, get out and start shooting? It's literally that easy. And as Americans, we need to keep that in mind when we're traveling to these locations with our families, to have somewhat of a contingency plan in place. But pointing the finger right now at the city of New Orleans or the state of Louisiana would be the wrong thing to do. I will tell you that when I was there, I did notice that the bollards were under construction. I think that we saw that was addressed today in the press conference with the governor and Senator Kennedy and the police chief. I think that they're actively doing the right thing. But, I've said this for a very long time, is law enforcement alone cannot carry the burden of planning security events when for, their inception, they've been responsive in nature. It is men like myself and the people that I employ and within our network who plan these large-scale events that we need to be tapping on to look at multiple different aspects of security and build in multiple contingencies. I'm not pointing the finger at them. I think that they're doing the best that they can. Today's press conference was enlightening, and it was good to see that we had both Republicans and Democrats working for the greater good of Americans and those citizens of New Orleans and Louisiana.
All right, and while we have you, Mike, just with your experience, we know earlier today, initially, the mayor of New Orleans labeled this a terrorist attack. The FBI said it wasn't, but then they switched course. Just take us inside. What leads to that type of miscommunication in an investigation like this?
I think that that's going to happen in most instances. I was happy to see that the FBI corrected course and said what it was. I think that's just a miscommunication in the fog of, I wouldn't say war, but the fog of this crisis. I think it's just a miscommunication. It's obviously a terrorist attack. I think what we will see and what the American people need to understand is whether it be in the streets of New Orleans or within our schools, these individuals that have ill intent to do harm, you can prevent and reduce. But you're not going to stop all of this stuff. And so I think what we'll see in this investigation is that this individual was radicalized, probably online. There is a pattern of behavior within his life over a course of time that will show this pathway to violence. Same thing with school shooters. It's always there. We have to start doing better as Americans to start paying attention to this. We need to start funneling more money into more security resources proactively. And we really need to have a serious conversation about mental health and, in terrorism in general, whether it be domestic or foreign. We need to have some serious conversations and start electing the right people that are just not showing up to parties and, carrying the weight and enriching themselves, but actually American citizens that are, ingrained in the American culture, that are servants at heart. And until we start doing that and start making Americans our priority, then we're going to continue to see these things. Politics divides us, and we can't allow that anymore.
All right, Mike Matranga with M6 Global Defense. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It was an honor.